and welcome back to SpaceOil Guitars. It's a great guitar build-off. So what I've done today is I've sanded the body, I've sanded the binding flush with the body. I've drilled the holes for controls, volume, tone, and switch. And right now I've just dusted off the body. So what we're going to do now is to mix epoxy. This is what the body looks like. I've also made this just to hold it. I usually use these. These are broom shaft handles. You buy one and you basically have enough for life. I've dampened the body. So what I'm going to do now is just to kiss it with some 1200 grit paper. Yes, I know it's very fine, but it is just to get the tops off, especially for the end grain here. 1200 really does beautiful work. So I'm going to cut it and I'm going to put it around one of my flexible sanding blocks. I'm not doing any leveling at this point. I'm just kissing the tops, you know, where the fibers stick up. I'm not putting pressure on it. I'm just doing the top and the sides now for the epoxy. And I'm going to let that dry. And then we'll do the back in one as well. Preferably I like to do the sides 2 times so that I get the end grain at the back and at the front 2 times with the epoxy. So I do the front, sides, flip it around, do the back and sides. So I'm obviously going to have to wait before doing the back and the sides again, but that fits pretty nicely into the way I like to work. So now I'm just, you know, when you dampen wood and the wood fibers stick up, that's basically what I'm just kissing down right now. And it's not that important at this stage because the epoxy is going to drive some of it up. However, the epoxy it's not that liquid. Okay. When we get to these parts, like here, inside the horn stuff, these flexible ones really do come to their own. So I haven't really been active in the community lately, but there's been a lot going on. Had a couple of photo shoots. And family stuff and house stuff. It is just got to be spring here in northern Norway. And would you believe it started snowing again yesterday? It's almost May, now it's April 27th, and there's a whole lot of snow outside still. So there's a little bit of back and forth with, you know, equipment, snow shovels or bikes. Alright. There we go. I'm very happy with this. We're going to vacuum it out quickly. forgot to do this part behind the neck joint. Right, so I'm gonna take some dry paper and just wipe this off. And then what's really exciting now is we get to see what color this wood becomes with the epoxy on, because I'm pretty excited. I hope it gets, I think it gets pretty dark. But we'll be able to see that. So let's see, just turn the camera a bit. Getting my scales out. And find my small cups. And my epoxy. I'm going to try to do as little as possible. It is hard to get less than 10 grams of this. But I really don't want to waste it. Okay, 5. See if we can do 5, and then just 1 gram of hardener. That's going to be hard because my scales aren't that accurate. But okay, about a gram and a half maybe. Then mixing it up. I have, as I said, a Rode microphone system on the way. It was supposed to be here yesterday. It didn't arrive, so if the sound is still shit, then I do apologize. Also this weekend I'm going to take the time to sort of clean my shop a little bit. And remember, if you're using epoxy, remember to mix well. You can't overmix, but you can very easily undermix. Or undermix, I mean mix insufficiently. So I really should get some disposable gloves for this, but I've run out and I keep forgetting to get more every time I'm at the hardware store. So I'm going to put on my regular gloves. See these ones? No, these ones. These are neoprene covered, so gloves might be damaged, but I won't be stuck to anything. And then paper. This paper is supposed to be lint free, but it isn't. And the only ones that are like what's it called, Kelly something, Kimberly Clark, I can find them, but the shipping is so expensive that it doesn't really allow me to buy them. I'm really spreading this thin. I might not be able to wipe any of this off. And it's a beautiful dark color. Beautiful color. So I think this will only be enough for the top. And if that is the case, then I'll only do the top today. I don't want to mix 2 different batches of epoxy, because if you mix 2 different batches of wet epoxy and the hardener is mixed differently, it can start to boil, or you have to mix it pretty badly wrong, but it can happen. So I've had that happen, not on guitars, but we were in my youth, me and one of my friends were really into building car stereos, and we did these custom speaker boxes using like blankets, covering blankets in epoxy and then molding them to whichever shape the speaker had, so that you get these door panels where the speaker sort of points toward the driver. And we didn't really go by weight, we just went by feel. And one time the mixing cup got so hard it started to melt and boil. So I don't want to do that on a guitar. I don't want to do that at all, actually. So I'm gonna put some more on my paper and just get the end grain on the side here. And this really isn't rocket science, using epoxy on guitars. I imagine if you're trying to build one of those, guitars where the wood is split and splitting the difference basically with epoxy, that's a bit hard, but this is just like using any lacquer or stain basically. Getting the end grains on this side. And if you do use this method, you'll see what an excellent pore filler it is. All dents, stuff like that, just sort of magically disappear when using this. Unless you wipe everything off, that is. But I sort of do a medium sweep. I wipe it off, but I don't wipe everything off. And it does reveal some stuff. I can see that some parts here are going to need more sanding. So I can see some glue residue from the binding on the body, which I couldn't see earlier. So that's something. And this was just enough to cover the top and the sides. Maybe I'll get all the sides. Let's see. Yeah, I think I will. There's just a little bit more is what I need. I think I'll get it here. Yeah. Oh, this wood is nice. Like really nice. See here, I can get some more on. Not more on, but more on. Okay, so that's that, and immediately I'll start to wipe it off. Get what you can, obviously. Alright, so now this is going to be at least 24 hours. And it's already like touch dry, but it's not dry, it's just right. You know what? I'm gonna flip this and do the backside straight away. I can that now. I'm gonna take the cover off. I think, yeah. I'm gonna take the cover off and do that separately. You know what, as I'm thinking about it, maybe no, maybe that's a bad idea. This cover, I think it's sort of expanded a bit. Come on. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. I'm going to do the back, and if I do need to sand more, then I'll just sand more. But I'm thinking everything but the inside of the covers should do. Because the inside of the covers are going to be covered in shielding paint. That's the plan anyway. There we go. And as you can see, the cavities are ready. I might need to lower or thin the cavity top, meaning the top of the guitar. If my tests, I think maybe I'll do a test video tomorrow. I'll make the pickups. Yeah, maybe I'll make the pickups tomorrow and let this set. Or start with the neck. We'll see. The neck needs some work. See what time of day it is. If I can start during the daytime, and that's fine. If I can start during the nighttime, then I'm sort of limited to quiet work because I don't want to wake my kids up. fresh paper. This out of the way. And it's basically just covering everything in epoxy. So, same as earlier. As I said, I'm going to do the back now and then the side again, just to make sure that all the end grain stuff has been filled. Yes, it's not the word I was looking for, but it serves the purpose. Saturated is what I meant. Here and here, and one on the side there's like a wood beetle hole. Those are going to be filled obviously, but I'm not going to cover them up. Kind of like it. And I don't think it hurts the aesthetic of the guitar at all. So I'm gonna leave it. As I said, this is not a furniture guitar. This is not a fancy top or anything. This is supposed to be a player guitar. And also I like to I make guitars for like the harder players, but without the I don't go to BC Rich territory in my shapes, if you know what I mean. So I play heavy music, well not that heavy, I mean heavy in some eyes, but a proper metalhead would not call the music I listen to and play heavy. It's basically more like progressive rock, progressive metal, power metal, but nothing heavier than that. No growling or anything. No blast beats. I don't mind that music, it's just I don't play it. So there's less surface area for me here to cover, but so I think these 5 grams should go a long way. As I've said earlier, 10 grams is enough to cover an entire body, and I think this shows it pretty well. And depending on what wood you have, some woods sort of soak up a bit. And if you have like super heavy grained wood like ash, don't expect to do it all in one go. I mean, you need several coats to get a sort of finish ready result. And you might need it on this too. It is pretty fine grained, but I don't know how it reacts to the epoxy. And I don't know what it's going to look like once it's wiped off in the morning. think I'm done. I'm gonna use the rest anyway. I don't want it to go to waste, so I'm using it where the end grain will be most noticed. That's obviously on the sides and where you keep your hands often. I'm hoping I don't sort of permanently melt the guitar body into this block, but there are gaps, so it should be fine. And now I don't know what to talk about anymore, so I'm just sort of rambling. See if I can fill these holes completely. These might be nail holes, but I don't think anyone would use a nail in wood like this, which is what I think. Anyway, obviously I don't know. This might have been somebody's cabin like 100 years ago or something. Okay, so I have enough to do one more sweep at the top here. All right, that's that. Set this aside. And the old paper and white. I'm excited to get started on the painting on this. I'm excited to see some color on it. I don't have a painting booth. I just sort of do it in here. Wear a mask, of course, and have my air filter going, but still it'd be better to have a paint booth. But who could afford a paint booth, you know? And I think it's really cool that with Crimson you can now ship a guitar to them and have them paint it. Not free, obviously, because there's equipment and working hours to be paid for, but just as a service, that is pretty awesome. And if you live in the UK, I would definitely consider using that offer. For anybody outside, at least for Norway, we're not in the EU or anything. Well, neither is Great Britain now. Then the taxes and shipping would just be too much. So this was basically my epoxy step. It's going to harden As I said, it can feel dry, but it isn't. It takes 24 hours in room temperature. It's going to dry for at least 24 hours. And then I'm going to wipe it down with a rag and warm water, because there's a film on it that won't allow finish to set on it. The finish will basically just peel off. So that's that. It's not rocket science. It's not hard work. It's not difficult. Leaves a great result, and looks pretty nice. If you can see, no, you can't see that. Let me try and turn this for you so you can see the difference between finished or epoxied and non-epoxied wood. Can you see this? This is not epoxied and this is epoxied. I don't know if it comes through in the video, but it's a pretty clear difference. It basically looks like it's been lacquered with a clear coat, and obviously this will have to be sanded down once more. So when we're doing this, we're going to wipe it down, and when we start preparing to finish it, we prepare it the same way as you'd normally do. I don't use any pore filler. I use clear coats, and then I start doing wet sanding from the get-go, so that once the front is ready to have color on it, there's a clear coat under it, and it's been wet sanded to, I don't know, let's say 1200. And the clear coat will allow you to see easier if there are like uneven parts of the body that needs to be addressed before putting color on. Or you could just start straight with the color. You'd need many layers, but eventually you'd see the differences building up. So yeah, but we'll get to that. Anyway, thank you for watching. This has been my epoxy step.